As we headed back to the food stalls, I cast a longing eye over the fried food. No, I better not. I'm pretty sure Emmy wouldn't let me anyway. We find a nice spot on the grass and sit down to eat our purchases. Well, my purchases anyway. Somehow I've wound up paying for all the food. Surprisingly, my unfried food is pretty good. Silence falls as Emmy and I eat, and Rin stares at something or other, occasionally eating a bite or two of her food. I finish my meal first and lay back on the grass. Emmy glances over from her food. Tired or so? A little, I guess. Well, don't oversleep or anything tomorrow morning. We start our morning runs, remember? Actually, they slipped my mind. I was actually just enjoying myself. Wandering around the festival with these two has actually been fun. Yeah, I'll set my alarm. I'll set an alarm. You'd better be there. I'll get angry if you aren't. God forbid. I don't think God comes into it. Unless there's some kind of freak accident and your alarm clock shorts out. That might be a random act of God. Well, don't cause any random acts of God then. A plan forms itself in my mind. It's a plan that makes me feel kind of guilty, but I throw it into execution anyway. Damn it, I've earned a little fried food. Anyway, I'm going to start running tomorrow, right? So the actual routine all starts then, not now. Ergo, the dietary portion starts tomorrow too. Ergo, I can have something unhealthy today. A sort of final farewell to all the stuff I used to eat with while abandoned before the hospital. Actually, I suppose I should head back to my room. I have some homework to do, and if I'm going to run in the morning, I should make it an early night. Those narrow eyes again. You sure you're not just going to sneak off and buy some fried stuff over there? Yeah, she knows me too well. Nah, I'm so full to bother now. I pat my stomach for emphasis. Besides, you two have cleaned me out anyway. Emmy giggles. It's a surprisingly pleasant sound. Another pang of guilt. She's got to know that I'm lying to her, doesn't she? Or is she just that trusting? I feel kind of like a monster. Oh, part of my master plan, Hisao. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Thanks for the food and for keeping us company. And here I thought she was doing me a favor. Rin nods in agreement. I want to see you tomorrow because that would be like predicting the future, and I'm pretty sure I can't do that. Okay. Bye, you two. I feel oddly glad that I decided to leave my room today. Not a bad way to start my second week here, I suppose. Once I'm sure I'm out of Emmy's line of sight, I make a beeline for the food stands and buy some cake. At least it's not fried, right? Eh? It's slightly better than what I was planning to do. I still feel a little bad about lying to Emmy, though. She really does seem concerned about my health. I'll make it up to her somehow. Better head back to my room. Hey, I do have work to do. My book waits for me, and I flop onto my bed and read through the fireworks display. Eventually, all the walking around, or more accurately, running around, is catching up with me. I really am out of shape. Emmy drags me out in the morning to run. Might just be a good thing, after all. It's something to look forward to. Anime sequence. Act 2 form. Let me get this straight. Am I going towards Emmy now? That's what I want to know. Am I actually accidentally just made it so that I'm actually going for Emmy instead of Hanako? Ew. Well, if anything, I'm more lenient. I'm okay with going over to Emmy, even if that's not my original thing that I wanted to do. If it dragged me into her storyline, then I'm okay with it. Let's see. If I do get a chance to go back to Hanako, I will. But if I am going down the Emmy way, then I'll just keep going the Emmy way. So let's just keep going. My alarm's beeping shatters the early morning quiet, and I find myself wondering where to find the motivation to rise. Class is still quite far off, but I agreed to run with Emmy in the mornings. Really, I'm not that interested in running as a hobby, or even as possible life-lengthening exercise. However, I feel obligated to follow through on my promise to Emmy yesterday, which is why I find myself throwing on some running shorts and a light t-shirt. The cool morning air caresses my face as the morning sunshine causes the dew on the grass to sparkle, nearly blinding me at first. As I make my way down to the track, an ugly thought strikes me. What if this is some sort of joke that Emmy's playing on me? Would that surprise me, really? Hell, I'd probably do it to the new guy, too. At the very least, I'm sure Emmy and Rin make a bet on whether or not I'd actually show up. I feel a sense of trepidation as the track comes into view. You're late! It would seem that Emmy is already there. What a relief. Not according to my watch, we both are early, in fact. Damn, you've got me there. Emmy is sitting on the bleachers, decked out in her running gear, waiting somewhat patiently for me. I'm glad you're actually here. I was afraid that this was a joke or something. Nah, I never make someone get up early for nothing. Plus, Rin owes me 50 yen now. She didn't think you'd actually show up. I knew it! I am smart. Nice to know Emmy was on my side, at least. Emmy hops off of the bleachers and begins stretching out. She's remarkably lithe, almost like a dancer. I set out to stretch as well, but then realized that I don't exactly remember how to stretch properly. It's been ages since I stretched for anything, if you don't count me one stint at running last week. My one stint at running last week. And even then, I don't think I actually stretched beforehand. The specter of my long hospital stay rises up again. I can't say I was all that active before the hospital stay, though, so maybe I'm just being morose. Emmy giggles as she watches me stretch out. No, Hisao. You've got to hold it for longer than that. I'm trying. It kind of hurts a little. Ha! That's because you're out of shape. You've got to get some flexibility in you, like this. To demonstrate, Emmy reaches down and pulls her head through her legs. God bless you, Emmy. I see. Is that the sort of thing I should strive for? Of course. Flexibility is important for any runner. You'll be able to go faster than the more you stretch out. That makes no sense to me, but Emmy seems to believe it's true. With Emmy's help, I managed to stretch myself out properly. I can't help but notice that when she thinks about how to explain things to me, her mouth scrunches up in concentration. Kitty face. It's adorable. Not bad. Not bad, Hisao. Come on, we better start running. We'll start off with just a mile, okay? Hey. That's 4 laps around the track, got it? It sounds fine to me. It shouldn't be too hard, right? A hazy memory of running a mile for a gym class surfaces in my mind. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Emmy starts sets a pretty good pace, and I fall in behind her.
Try to keep up, okay, Sal?
Roger. Around the first curve without incident, though I can already feel my heart rate increasing slightly. By the second curve, I've started to breathe through my mouth. Emmy doesn't even seem to be breaking a sweat. As if to punctuate her superiority, she turns around and starts running backwards.
Are you doing okay, Sal?
Never better.
Oh, really? Maybe I should speed up then,
No, wouldn't want you to overexert yourself. Heavy panting and wheezing makes the statement less convincing than I had hoped. Emmy simply smiles and turns around again.
You're the boss, Sal. We'll stay at this pace.
I get the feeling that I'm being mocked. If I weren't in such terrible shape, I'd probably feel offended. By the third lap, my breath is going in coming in ragged gasps. I'm also awash in my own sweat. Gross. We round the curve to start our fourth lap, and May looks back at me with a grin.
Here we go.
She takes off at blinding speed with a stubbornly stick to my slower pace. By the time I get to the first turn, she's already round the second. As I struggle across the back stretch, Emmy continues running and catches up to me.
Come on, Hisao, you can do it.
I'd answer her, but I'm too focused on getting air in my lungs and ignoring the burning in my leg muscles. Part of me wants to say something like, maybe you can, but I'm about to die here. But again, I doubt I can actually form words right now. Emmy keeps pace with me as I round the second turn and cross the finish line. Her sprint seems to have gotten her sweating. It's actually caused her shirt to turn slightly translucent. It seems she's wearing a black sports bra.
I am watching you.
I feel a vague stab of guilt for being the sort of guy who stares at a girl's chest, but my legs and chest are burning so badly I can't bring myself to care that much.
Not bad for your first effort, Axel.
Kind of you to say so. My chest, my legs. And he seems to be, if not out of breath, at least breathing a little more heavily than she was before we started running. It must have been the sprint that did it. Hey, I've got to get a few sprints in. You should walk around the track to cool down. Then we can stretch out and we'll be all done, okay? Sounds great. My legs are on fire and my breathing is still heavy, but surprisingly my heart seems to be taking the strain well. Another triumph of medical science, I suppose. You should put your hands behind your head. It makes it easier to catch your breath. Yeah, personally, I know this is true because I used to be in marching band in high school, and that's what we usually would do after we're done running. If you put your hands behind your head, it allows your chest to expand more, allowing more breathing or more air to get into your lungs. Surprisingly, she's right. I begin to stroll around the track, happy to feel my breath coming back to me. There's a blur as Emmy sprints by me. Watching her run is absolutely fascinating. It's not just because she's on prosthetics, though that is interesting. The really interesting thing is the way her face changes. I can only catch glimpses of it as she runs by, but her eyes seem to come alive with a sort of fierce joy. It's as if there's nothing else in the world but her and the track. By the time I've gotten to the final stretch, Emmy seems to have finished her sprinting. She's breathing heavily now, but she's wearing a satisfied grin on her face. She waves to me cheerily as I near her.
Feeling better, right?
Actually, yeah.
Do you want to take another lap around with me? I've got to cool down too, you know.
Part of me would rather sit down and not move, but something tells me that would be a bad idea. Besides, if I sit down, there may be no getting back up again. Sure, why not?
I mean,
Oh, that was something stuck in my throat. Emmy gets her hands behind her head now as well, which makes her seem very relaxed. The positioning of her arms also pulls her shirt upwards ever so slightly so that I can see a small strip of her belly. I did my best to act a gentleman and not look, but the contrast of her skin against her red running shorts is rather arresting.
So how do you feel, Hisao?
Surprisingly good, actually. I'm sore and tired, but surprisingly good. As soon as I say it, I realize that it's true. Sure, part of me wants to lay down and die, but I feel like I've accomplished something. It's almost like a glow throughout my body that persists despite the soreness.
Yeah, that's the runner's high.
Runner's high?
Yeah, something to do with adrenaline?
Emmy thinks for a moment as we walk, trying to remember. Then she shrugs and grins at me.
I don't really remember. It's a good feeling, though, isn't it?
Whoa! Oh, man, that caught me off guard. Oh, man. Oh, man, you even hear the thump. Like, out of nowhere. Oh, man.
Better than sex, right?
I opened my mouth and responded shortly before processing what she just said. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Emmy watches my face for a few moments before bursting into laughter.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. You're just too easy.
Why do I agree to run with you again? Emmy just laughs harder. She takes a hold of my forearm and tilts it, allowing her to get a better view of my watch, and her face changes the moment she sees the time.
Oh no, we better get a move on, Hisao. Class is in an hour, and I need to shower. I hear me rhyming.
I should probably do that as well.
I need to see the nurse too. Maybe he'll write me a note for being late.
Why do you need to see the nurse? Emmy points to her prosthetics as if that would explain everything.
It's important to check for irritation. You know, from sweat or friction or anything. Normally I only go after practice, but if we're going to be doing these morning runs, then I guess I'll see him twice a day.
Wait, so Emmy has only started doing these runs since I showed up? If it's more convenient for you to run with me at a later time.
Don't be silly. I've been meaning to start running in the mornings for a while now. But if I didn't have a partner to run with, I'd be less likely to keep up my routine. It's always harder to blow off a commitment if you're going to let someone else down, you know? So you'll be my running partner for the mornings. Both need the exercise, so it all works out, don't you think?
Yeah, perfect. Did it have to be me, though? Well, I guess I can't complain too much. Emmy's pretty fun to hang out with. And she's right, I do need the exercise. Doctor's orders, even. Emmy waves a quick goodbye to me.
Right, I'm off. Come have lunch with us, okay?
What?
Lunch. You know, the meal in the middle of the day. Come have it with us.
Where?
On the roof, you silly. Don't you remember from the last 2 videos? 3? I don't remember. Rin likes it up there.
When?
Lunchtime. When else? That was a silly question.
Yeah, but I sort of felt the need to ask all three of the completeness for completeness' sake. Emmy laughs and grins. I don't think I've ever seen a girl smile so much before.
Not bad, Hisao. See ya.
With that, she takes off like a shot for the school building. I guess she's going to see the nurse first. I hurry back to my room and hop into the shower, only to find that the water takes a while to heat up. The shock of the cold water nearly kills me. I managed to warm the water a bit and spend some quality time feeling my muscles loosen. My heart surprisingly feels the least bothered by the run. I suppose it's a good thing, even if it does make me feel like a bit of a wuss. I mean, at least I'd have an excuse beyond I'm out of shape if my heart were bothering me. Guess I'll have to keep the running thing up, otherwise I'm sure Emmy won't let me hear the end of it. It's only after I get out and dry myself off that I realize that I have only 10 minutes left to put my clothes on and get to class. Crap. Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Axel Scratch here. We are back with more Melee. Where we left off, we got the dude. Wanted to beat him up. He killed us. We got the mask. We got out. I turned over the internet. And we have to find a way to get the heck out of here. So as we can see right now, I have a few things that I have missed so far. But I'm going to have to get them. I have to go somewhere. I know I have to go there. Put this path. I think I have to go to the school tree, which is down this way. Might not. Come back here. I can finally use Rooster up to my advantage now. Awesome. I can't go down that way. Oops, I messed up. Honestly, I don't know where how I should be getting it. Actually, I think I have to go that way. Let's go that way. Yep. That's there. That's there too. Okay. Just go down.